Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Carla M, and this is You Got This. Today I'm going to be speaking with Jean Every. G'day, Jean. How you going?
Hey, how you doing, Carl?
Yeah, good. Enjoying the festival?
Loving it.
Fantastic. Um, can I start by asking you give me a little bit of a background of you, if you wouldn't mind, please?
Bit of a background. What, a music background or?
Just a little bit about yourself and your
Yeah,
music.
fair enough. I've been involved in music pretty much for most of my life. Played in a lot of bands. I studied piano, both classical and modern, for until my diploma. So I've got a bit of proper training, instrument training there as well. And I came in contact with Wild at Heart because I suffer from mental illness known as schizoid affective disorder, which is a variant of schizophrenia. So it's quite a debilitating illness when I don't have medication. And that's how I came to be involved in the Unmuted Festival.
Very good. And so how did you find out about Wild at Heart?
Okay, so as I mentioned before, I've got a bit of a condition, and I came into contact with Wild at Heart not too long after I had a hospitalisation. So it was quite an impactful time on me. I was very disorientated from the whole experience. Felt very detached from people, values, and activities in my life. And so I really needed to rebuild. It's like a bit of a second beginning after you go through an episode that strong. And so what happened was I came out of hospital and I had a lot of time on my hands. And that wasn't great either, because with my condition, having a lot of time on your hands literally sends you crazy, because you don't have anything holding your attention, which is really important for someone suffering from what I am. So a peer support worker from the hospital suggested Wild at Heart because I'd mentioned that I'd been involved in music before and was very keen on songwriting. And so he spoke very highly of the group and eventually convinced me to go. And it's been smooth sailing from that point there.
Fantastic.
I've been there probably 3.5 years now.
Wow. And what was it like for you when you first went in there to Wild at Heart?
A bit nerve-wracking. It's a whole new bunch of people and everything, but they made me feel very welcome. It's a really supportive kind of group. Everybody there, I think it's safe to say, is going through some kind of difficulty in their life, just in terms of deficits they might have. So while I was getting in and testing the water was a little bit nerve-wracking, actually meeting people within the group and being welcomed into the group the way I was very comforting and welcoming, and I was soon warmed to the class very strongly, and it's sort of, it's just built from there, and it's slowly, well, I mean, not too slowly. Initially, it very quickly actually became not a priority, but one of my high priorities in life was attending this class, just because I was getting so much back from it, not just from music perspective, but just even from a social perspective. Acceptance was important as well, and that kind of sums up my intro to Wild at Heart.
Fantastic. And so a bit about your music.
I love talking about that.
What's your influences, or who's your influence, do you think? Who did you grow up listening to?
It's a little bit like there's probably a few too many to list in terms of influences. things that stood out, or artists that stood out, I guess, were people like Bowie. Who else did I like? I was a big fan of Aerosmith, particularly early stuff. I really like that 70s rock kind of sound. But yeah, just such a broad range of influence. During the 90s, I was really into Pearl Jam, Nirvana, and all your mainstays in the grunge thing. And in the 80s, it was all new wave. Can't give you too much in terms of influences because, there is so many. I've listened to so many records and have been impressed and influenced by the artists that it would be hard to list just a few. A performer I really admire is Mike Payton from Faith No More.
Ah, yes, indeed. So what's your songwriting process like? Do you come up with the lyrics first or the melody?
It's a pretty big process. I like to, I'm trying to think of the word, when you, it's escaping me now, but I go through a whole process where I like to watch a lot of films that are about current topics, kind of thick arguments, getting to the head of political issues, looking at new music, traveling if I can. I really like to travel, even just being in a social situation. We had a camp with Wild at Heart last year. I think it was last year at this stage. But even just in being around in an environment when there's 20 people or so, that really stimulates writing for me. And if I can grab an iPad and just walk around and with a set of headphones and just kind of have a chat and then walk off for 10 minutes, do something and then come back, I find that's a really good writing style for me. So lots of stimulation, lots of inspiration.
Fantastic. And so how do you think, or do you think the Wild at Heart has helped your mental state?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's done me a world of good. Like I think I mentioned a bit earlier, just when I got out of hospital, I just had so much spare time on my hands. It was very isolating, and I would fall into thick bouts of depression and anxiety and despair. And at that time, Wild at Hearts was one of the only connections I had, one of the social connections I had. I had friends and family, but they were kind of distant, whereas Wild at Heart was very close. And I started developing friends within that community as well, people who were songwriters as well. And, starting to share really unique experiences that you don't often get a chance to meet people who maybe suffer from similar conditions to yourself. So Wild at Heart was really good for that. There's been people there that I've met that just understand me so much more than people who, not always, of course, but some people who haven't maybe experienced mental illness. So from that perspective, it's excellent for your mental health. And I mean, I even know people within the group that have been on the verge of suicide, literally, and have used the group to kind of keep their grip on life. So very helpful.
That's good. Yeah. And so, what sort of tracks have you released lately?
I've been busy with a few. I've always wanted to put together a record, I suppose, but I'm quite heavily interested in producer work as well at the moment. So it might just be that I have a release of 10 to 15 tracks that I do with other people. And I don't know these days if I'm actually planning to record an entire album. I will work towards material to put an entire album together. But I just love the collaborative process so much, especially when someone's appreciating your input. it just gives you that instant feedback that all the effort that you've been putting in is worthwhile. But the tracks I've released recently, thanks to the lockdown, giving me loads and loads of time to do administration stuff and get these tracks up and out there. I've released 2 recently. One's more of an electro track, and the other's an old rock song that I wrote that I've sort of touched up and re-released. Yeah.
So today, you're going to play Ways to Get to You. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I can't wait. How can people get in touch and get to listen to your music?
Well, I'm on Facebook, but if they want to hear more of my music, probably the simplest way is to jump on Spotify. I find most people have got access to Spotify these days. I am on other platforms, but I find Spotify is just the easiest to actually access and have all your work in one place.
And so would they just look up Gene Every?
Gene Every under Spotify, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, pausing recording. Just give me a recording. Well, Gene, thank you so much for speaking with me today. It's been lovely to learn a little bit about yourself.
Always a pleasure, Carla M.
Thank you. So we'll see you also in the Unmuted Festival. You'll be DJing. You'll be playing. When are you playing?
Yeah. What am I playing, or when am I playing?
When are you playing? Yeah, when?
That's a good question, Carla. If you let me know the dates, I can pop them out on YouTube.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, people can look at the program and find out when at 5 o'clock dance sessions, and that'll be either Paulie or myself DJing. So we'll have a 20-minute, half an hour dance, which will be fun. And keep our eyes out for Gene Every. And we'll take it out now with Ways to Get to You by Gene Every. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Too much for you. You do what you like, because you can't catch a bird and fly. It's just too much tonight. Do you see what I said? Do you see what I said? Do you see what I said? Do you see in color? Do you see what I said? Do you see what I said? Do you see what I said? Do you see in color? Ooh, 'cause I can't help thinking what this could have been. Never know, 'cause your style and grace is gone now. Never know, and your brothers are my sunshine. Living in a state of bug. Bum, bum, bum. Even what you wear, to the way you do your hair, is this going somewhere?
Rockin'. You are a rock star. You know it. You got this. Thank you so much, Jean, for joining me
Thank you.
on You Got This. And yeah, take it easy.
You got this,
I'm
Carla.
Carla. Thank you. I'm Carla M, and You Got This. See you same time tomorrow, 12:30. Catch you then.